Who do men say I am? That's a quote from the Bible, and Jesus was asking his disciples. And I think it's very interesting because I don't think it was a question that he was really asking about himself at all. I think he was trying to teach them a lesson that they could reflect on later. But when they answered that question, they said, well, some say you're John the Baptist. Some say you're a prophet. Some say, that you're a rabble-rouser, just a preacher, a troublemaker. And then he said, well, who do you say I am? And they said, you're the Son of God. Now, I think that that's a question that wasn't just for Jesus or for his disciples, but for anybody who steps out in any kind of leadership role. And what do I mean by that? So here you have, if you are a Christian and you believe this, you have the Son of God who has divine ability, was sent to earth with a mission to literally save the planet. But there are people who are going to crucify him very soon after this conversation, because the only thing that they see when they look at him is someone who needs to be taken down, someone who needs to be eliminated. They see him as completely a threat, as someone who's blaspheming their traditions, getting people to question their traditions. And because of that, he is a false prophet, and he deserves to be unalived. Now, if that's what happened to the Son of God when he went against tradition, when he went against the rich and the powerful and the religious, why would it bother me or any content creator or any person who's speaking out against tradition in any kind of way that people call us names? Because that happened to the Son of God. So if someone were to say to me, who do you think you are? Meaning talking to me. And I responded, well, who do men say I am? They might say, she's a man basher. She's a feminist. She hates men. She hates black men. But then there were others that would say, oh, she doesn't hate black men. I've seen her write a lot of positive things about men and black men in particular. She's very family oriented. She wants relationships to work and to actually be healthy for both people. She wants kids to grow up in safe environments where their parents get along and they can see that men and women can actually work together as units and as partners and teammates and love each other from a stance of, I lift you up, you lift me up, we make each other better. She believes in the Michelangelo effect. She believes that relationships are where people heal and grow. She also believes in self-development and self-care and self-empowerment. She believes that whatever's happened to you doesn't need to define you, but you can literally rise above it. She's a motivator. She's an inspirer. She's an activist. She's an artist. She's a poet. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's a mother. She's a grandmother. She's a teacher. She's a consultant. Those are all things that people could say about me. So I think if you're going to step out in any role where you're going to speak your mind, you have to be prepared to be loved and hated. You have to be prepared to be misunderstood. I think it was either Emerson or Thoreau who said, to be great is to be misunderstood. Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates and Luther and Copernicus and every other man who stepped out. And he said something like, a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by statesmen. So basically, if you're going to make any kind of mark on the world, you have to stop worrying about what people are going to say about you. You have to stop worrying about people's opinions of you. You know, I probably not a week goes by that someone doesn't say something about me. And sometimes I take a post like this to speak on it, and other times I just don't. Because if I was worried about what people thought about me, I wouldn't be doing the stuff that I do. I wouldn't be posting the stuff that I post. But, I don't think that you can please, what is the saying? You can please some of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people any of the time. And I think, again, we talk about reaction versus response. And you have in the back of your brain, you have this fight, flight, fawn, freeze response, right? So fawning is people pleasing. And when there's trauma or when there's stress, some people fight, some people flee, some people fawn, they people please, and some people freeze. And there was another one that they found, which was something like about bonding. Some people search for community. But I used to be a fawner. I used to be a people pleaser. I used to be very concerned about people liking me and agreeing with me and understanding me. And then I realized several things. Number one, people only understand you from the limits of their perception and their experience, which means if you are speaking about something that they've never considered, they're likely to misunderstand you. Because sometimes people just don't have the experience or the maturity or the intellect to understand nuances. They just haven't gotten there yet. And then also, I realized that some people understanding you would shake up their world. It would provide cognitive dissonance. It would challenge their thought processes. Years ago, during quarantine,